Ladies and gentlemen, in this Red Gaming Technical video, we're going to be discussing next generation consoles resolution in connection with Battlefield 4. There have been some reports that state that the Xbox One version of the title will natively be running in 720p. Now, how this came about was that a Japanese website, GameSpark, mentioned that an Electronic Arts representative in charge, this was at the Eurogamer Expo by the way, told them that the retail version of BF4 for the Xbox One would be running at 720p and 60 frames per second. Meanwhile, for the PlayStation 4 version, they were managing to run the game at 900p at upscaled, of course, to 1080, so 900 upscaled to 1080, and once again 60 frames per second. And they were told that 60 frames per second for next-gen consoles was a top priority. In other words, it was the most important part of this. However, then the article was updated, and then they stated that after the review of the product, during a Q&A session with the personnel at the DICE booth, we learned that the developer aims to have the same frame rate and resolution of the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 retail versions. So, right now, from what I'm reading, there's some unsubstantiated reports, in other words, DICE have not confirmed or denied this, that are saying that the PC version of Battlefield 4, which of course can run at whatever resolution, obviously on maximum settings looks better than the PlayStation 4 versions. However, the PlayStation 4 version looks better than the Xbox One version. So in other words, you could consider it the PC version at Ultra. And then they're saying, from what people have said anyway, the rumours and the thoughts from people, is that the PS4 version is going to be a mix between high and ultra, although there were some conflicting reports on that because previous news on this very same subject said that the PlayStation 4 version was going to be a mixture of a medium to high settings. Meanwhile, the Xbox One version, people are reporting to definitely a bit more blurry and aren't quite as detailed as the PlayStation 4. So what people are worried right now is that the quote from DICE and EA as a whole, they're obviously aiming for parity between the two systems. Now, this has been a concern from some games developers. They've actually stated this, including those Adrian from, say, People Can Fly, and they were discussing this very same point. And if it's a case of parity, so what's going to happen? Are we going to get versions on the PlayStation 4 which are going to be neutered to cater towards the Xbox One version, so in other words, one version doesn't look better? Or is it going to be that the Xbox One version takes a hell of a lot longer to develop? Now, obviously, we've discussed very heavily on this channel on the differences on the performance of both machines. Obviously, one developer just recently was stating that one of the really big things about the machine is the GDDR5 RAM, but that and the extra power of course, the GPU seem to be this situation where developers just can't really seem to get as much out of the Xbox One. Now, obviously, this doesn't mean that you, as a gamer, will necessarily care if you're playing on the Xbox One. In other words, you're going to have just as much fun. It's not going to make a huge difference. It just means that internally, your game may look a little bit worse. Obviously, that is not to say that the game will play worse. That doesn't mean you're going to get less levels. That doesn't mean that you're going to get less players on the levels. That doesn't mean that it's not going to feel smooth. They are looking for 60 frames per second. Even when things get busy, obviously there are going to be some concessions. Basically everything is going on the screen at once. Obviously, one or both versions may chug just a little bit, in other words, dip below the magical 60 frames per second land. But generally speaking, they're aiming for a nice, smooth frame rate. However, it's just quite interesting right now that yet more pops up on this whole resolution thing. It seems to be a lot on this recently. I'm going to be doing another video discussing a lot of these aspects because there's been so much news on this very same subject. I want to kind of round it all up and provide some images as well, so we can start doing some really good comparisons on this stuff. But anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the rather short video. It's quite late here in the UK, and unfortunately I've got work in the morning. So anyway, I'm going to have to get going and leave you guys to it, but hopefully you've enjoyed it, and I guess it's food for thought anyway. I guess we can watch this space, so to speak. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.